waiting for. The Psalms are an oft overlooked, or at least focused in a few places, book in the Bible. And the more that I have studied them, the more that I see that they speak to us today. So a quick run through Psalm 39, just to help us out a moment. So he starts off saying that he's determined to watch what he says in case he says something stupid and gets himself in trouble. But then, the more he keeps his tongue, the more silent he is, the more annoyed he gets at everybody around him who seems to be profiting by his silence, and so he speaks up. But then he kind of goes, oh, but how long do I have to live? How long do I have to do all this stuff? Our life is just a short moment in the existence of the planet. We do our thing and then we leave. So then he pleads with God. What is he doing? What's the point? If we're here for so little time, what is the point? And asks God to save him from idiots. Doesn't really work that way. Ends up wondering whether we are nothing in ourselves. And then says, listen to me, God. Please listen to me. Don't ignore me. Just look at my tears. Give me a break, cut me some slack before it's too late and I'm out of here. I strongly recommend reading this in the Message version. It's much more amusing and much more real. But I'm not going to read it again. So there are two things in life they say are definite. Death and taxes. And this morning, for those who want to read The Obscenely Wealthy, most of the newspapers are covering the list of who's paid the most taxes in the UK. And more importantly, in their opinion, who hasn't. So apparently if you're super wealthy you can still avoid some taxes. And of course if you have nothing, you don't pay tax. But what is for sure is that we all die at some time. And most of us at some point in our lives will develop the morbid curiosity of trying to work out how much longer we've got to live. Whether it's because you are facing a serious diagnosis in a hospital, have survived some kind of moment where others did not or were less fortunate, or if you're 3.5 to 5 years old because you suddenly realise that not everybody lives forever, and in my niece's words, I'm the youngest so I'm going to get left alone. As she became aware that her great-grandmother might not live forever. It is true, my grandmother will not live forever. Nor will I. I hope that in the law of averages, her being somewhat older than me, 53 years, that she will die before I do, but there are no guarantees. And we've all seen people who've had something happen, whether it's a birth, a divorce, a death, an illness, or watched a serious accident, or even just read the news or seen the news some days. We've had a moment of thinking, well, why am I here? What am I doing? Is what I do worth it? Have I got my priorities right? And a lot of the time, the answer is no. A lot of the time, the answer is we're too busy being, too busy doing, in order to actually live. I know that I have days, sometimes even weeks, when I step back at the end of it and think, well, okay, I did this and this week, and I checked off some items on my to-do list, but my to-do list is just as long as it was at the start of the week, and I haven't spent time with the people that I care about. I was too busy. I also know people who are busy saying, well, when I retire, I will. When I'm older, I will. Next summer, I will. Putting off the things they really want to do for a moment in the future. And it's only when something happens that they realise that that moment may never come. Or that when they get to it, it'll be another next summer, next whatever. Because it is too difficult to focus on the here and now. So there is actually a truth in this, that these are the fundamental questions that we ask ourselves. And actually the truth is in the beginning of this psalm. I was determined to watch my steps and my tongue so they won't land me in trouble. How many times have you not done something just in case? And then you sit there and you wonder, what happened? What would have happened if? Mum's the word, I said, and kept quiet. But the longer I kept silent, the worse it got. I have had a number of moments in life where I resolved to keep my tongue in case I got someone or myself into trouble, only to find that by keeping my tongue, the worst possible scenario came true. And I resolved after those moments that I would never sit in silence if there was something that I knew needed to be said. It's not been an easy path, speaking up. It makes me unpopular, it makes me a target, but it's the right thing to do. If we keep our tongues, if we stay silent, then who will speak up? The Holocaust happened because good people stayed silent. Good people allowed the propaganda of the day to drive the agenda. We see it again today. We see shootings, we see bombings, we see disasters happening. And the US spent 35 days with a government shutdown because of a wall to keep Mexicans out of North America. Well, last time I checked, the bombers and the shooters were not Mexicans. We're talking about the army being required to support Brexit because we cannot get food into the country. And the driving force of the Brexit vote was primarily about money and exchange of the goods, ideas and people between us and our neighbouring countries. All based on borders that 2,000 years ago didn't exist. We've put those borders there, we've put those boundaries there, and we focus on them because it's easier to stay in our own space and worry about ourselves than it is to look outside. That's what I've been not saying for a while. It's my opinion, you can have a different one, that's absolutely fine. But I encourage you to think about what this is talking about. We are all puffs of air here for a short time. We don't know what's going to happen next, what's going to happen tomorrow. That doesn't mean we need to morbidly obsess about the fact that we are all going to die one day, because quite frankly I hope that, based on my family history at least it's likely, that I've got another 50 years ahead of me. But I'm not going to live my life waiting for it to be the right time. I have to enjoy living today. I have to take risks today. That doesn't mean not planning and not thinking about a future, but it is about being realistic and saying, what are we waiting for? What are we too busy to do today that really is today's job? There are some things that can only be today. It is only today that telling the person that you love or the people that you love that you care about them, that will make a difference to them today. It is only now that the people around us are here with us today. So I take from this that I have to live in the now. I can't wait for retirement. I can't even wait the 3 months that it's going to take for this little one to make its way into the world. I have to plan. I have to enjoy today. I have to wait and patiently wait for the things that are going to come, that take the time to come. But that doesn't mean putting my life on hold, waiting for that to be true. When I was 21 and graduating from university, I thought the whole world was ahead of me. And it has been. But I'm 40 and the whole world is ahead of me. Because I have just as much time ahead of me as I've already lived, and maybe more. So don't wait for the wake-up call that says stop now. Take each day as it comes and live it to the fullness that you can, and listen for the voice in your head that says speak now, do now, enjoy now, live now. Amen.